So this right here, guys, is really, really interesting to me. The Five is, a very popular Fox News show that's on in the middle of the day. And they ended up having a debate about drug legalization. Now, I say it's a debate, but the fact of the matter is, as you're about to see, it's pretty much 3 versus 1. Well, 2 versus 1. Because only 3 people in this clip talk. 2 of them are against drug legalization. But if I had to guess, honestly, if it really came down to it, it'd be like 4 versus 1. Like this, Greg Gutfeld dissents here, and he knows this is the lion's den on this issue because Greg Gutfeld is much more libertarian, and it gets kind of heated. Let's watch, and we'll break it down.
First, Greg Gutfeld, drug workers, is that the new migrants? We don't call them.
I don't know. I don't think it's as glamorous. I mean, do you go to a car worker instead of a car dealer? When you go to a casino, they're called dealers, not workers.
They're called sex workers, not sex sellers.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Look, I think you should target the cartels while you negotiate with them, and I also think you got to legalize drugs. I mean, the only way you're going to have quality control, like prescriptions, and the only way you're going to stop fentanyl poisonings would be to legalize these drugs, which people want. The problem isn't with the dealers. The problem is with us, right? We're the demand. They're just the supplier. You know what? You want to know who the drug dealers are? Snoop Dogg was a drug dealer. Jesse. Jay-Z was a drug dealer. 50 Cent was a drug dealer. Mark Wahlberg was a drug dealer. Tim Allen. And you know who opened this segment?
Who?
Kid Rock was a drug dealer. Wow. So I'm telling you, there's a lot of hypocrisy. This is an artificial stance.
Okay.
There's a lot of hypocrisy from Republicans. What do they love and preach to everybody? Capitalism. What do they hate? Regulating it. What is the drug market? Unregulated capitalism. A lot for the first rung onto that ladder of capitalism often is drug dealing for blacks.
Well,
so how dare you?
They legalize drugs.
Okay, first of all, shocking that he's leaning into this as much as he is, knowing who his audience is for this show. It's a bunch of 74-year-old white retiree dudes who are probably, their blood is boiling listening to him say these things. But he's spitting right there, man. Let him cook.
Portland, essentially, and everyone's dying and sleeping on the streets. Do you agree that we should legalize drugs, Judge Jeanine?
Let me ask you a question. What do you think my answer is to that? Absolutely not.
Okay.
We can't legalize it. And look, here's the thing.
The drug war is working great.
Well, no, because we're not doing everything we need to be doing.
Arrest more people?
No.
Because they're seeking oblivion?
No, what we need to do is...
So the problem is the drug war is not draconian and primitive and aggressive enough. That's the problem. The trillions of dollars we've spent, not enough. The fact that we lock up more people than every other country on the earth, not enough. None of that's enough. You just got to do I swear, in the, 34th year of the drug war, the 34th year is a charm. By the way, I'm understating it. It's been going on longer than that, right? But look at this mindset. Just one more arrest. Just one more arrest. Just one more raid. We'll figure this out, man.
To close the border where 90% of the heroin and pretty much all the fentanyl comes through. We need to make sure that look, Joe Biden wants to sanction and financially crippled. We heard this drug czar saying they're going to know that we're serious. Are you kidding? We need to designate them as foreign terrorists so that we can go after them the way we go after terrorists. We need to have military strikes. And I don't care if President Obrador in Mexico thinks we're rude or thinks it's an insult that we would consider doing this.
Her solution is to do a literal war against Mexico. Invade Mexico and do military strikes against the drug cartels. That's her solution. She thinks that would work. So what? The drug market would be gone if you launch a war against Mexico? Nobody in the U.S. would do drugs anymore? You cannot be this stupid. Also, by the way, you would absolutely destroy a relationship with one of our top trading partners and allies, Mexico. For what? So you guys can play Rambo and feel like you're tough guys as you make everything objectively worse?
Truth is that if you've got 100,000 people dying, we're in a damn war right now. And these kids are not dying because they want to take fentanyl. They're dying because they want to take maybe an Adderall.
Okay, Judge Jeanine, literally nobody who's taking an Adderall is dying of a fentanyl overdose. It never happened. Never once. She has no idea what she's talking about. No, the people who end up dying from fentanyl overdoses were taking heroin, and it was laced with fentanyl. Now, look, heroin's bad. I'm not condoning heroin use, but this is what happened with Philip Seymour Hoffman. This is what happened with Michael K. Williams. They took what was their normal dose of heroin, which they had used before, and they're addicted, but they were fine, right? They survived. But since it was laced with fentanyl, they ended up dying. Now, How do you fix that? How do you fix that? Legalize, tax, and regulate drugs and have quality control and make sure nothing is laced with something that'll kill you. And this is exactly what Greg Gutfeld hammers her over the head with in just a second.
They want to take an oxycodone.
That's why you
and
legalize
it's an
it.
undeclared war. No, that's not why you legalize
That's
it.
where you get the control of it.
Really?
Look, read about prohibition. The reason why people died during prohibition was because the alcohol wasn't controlled.
Okay.
Once you control pills, then you know it's an Adderall.
So
then you know it's a Xanax.
fentanyl so that it's not lethal anymore?
Fentanyl is legal, by the way.
Lethal.
No, yes,
Lethal.
but it's also legal.
I know it's legal. Doctors prescribe
It's also
it.
lethal on the street, but not
it's
lethal when it's prescribed.
Well, it's not lethal when it's prescribed. Yeah,
Yes,
I
that's
get
my
it. But
point.
here's the problem, is that the kids who don't want necessarily an illegal drug and only want something that's ordinary and that it's in everybody's medicine cabinet end up taking something
because
like...
it's not regulated, because they get mixed. You're agreeing with me.
I'm not agreeing with you.
Yes,
No,
the reason why
it's
people... Look, I've had 2 friends die of overdoses from fentanyl.
We all have had
for the
friends
same
who
reason
died.
you're talking about.
You know
They
what?
didn't know they were taking it.
Yeah,
If it was
okay.
legal, that wouldn't have happened.
And you know what? But the truth is...
He's 1,000,000,000% correct. He's 1,000,000,000% correct. The problem is that it's illegal. If you legalize, tax, and regulate it, you can make sure that it's safe. And also, by the way, if there are disputes, it's not settled in the street with guns. It's settled in a courtroom with people wearing suits and ties. Definitely preferable, isn't it? And the case study of prohibition is perfect to explain this. People used to die from bad batches of alcohol that were made in bathtubs. Why? Because alcohol was illegal. When it was legal, that wasn't the case. Now, sure, there's going to be a tiny percentage of people who are alcoholics and maybe even drink themselves into an early grave. That's going to happen. But you file that under the freedom category. We also have people who die from getting in car accidents. Does that mean we should ban cars? No, of course not. But this is their mindset when it comes to drugs. And by the way, they would have no response at all, Jesse Waters, Janine Pirro, to what the drug war was actually about, which we know because a top Nixon administration official admitted it on the record in the 1990s. He said, the reason we did the drug war is so we could go after hippie whites and minorities because politically, demographically, they were not on our side. And so we tried to figure out a way to criminalize their lifestyles. So the whole point was to indiscriminately lock people up who are political enemies. That's not me speaking, that's them speaking. They would have no response. Of course they have no response to that. Imagine thinking at this late date, yeah, the drug war is the way to go. We're just not being tough enough when it comes to the drug war. There's more drug use and more drug sales now than there's ever been. And it is illegal and it is criminally punished. And you have the fentanyl overdoses. Well, guess what? Before, what led to this? This is something a lot of people don't understand. But it was the crackdown on the pain pills that led to this. When they cracked down on pain pills, then people who wanted the pills said, well, what can I do now? I guess I got to go to the black market and get heroin, which is a similar drug to oxycodone and all those drugs. So they went, they got the heroin, and then, as we already discussed, the heroin in some instances is laced with fentanyl, and that's when they overdose and die. We had about 30,000 deaths a year because of the pill problem, and then it shot up to 100,000 when they cracked down on the pills because now people are dying of fentanyl. So everything with the best of intentions ends up making it worse when the real solution is counterintuitive, and it's exactly what Greg Gutfeld is saying here.
People would follow. But the truth is that people are dying of these overdoses because they don't think that there's fentanyl in it, or they don't know that there's that much.
I will rest my case. That's what I said.
You heard it.
All right, you guys get the gist of it. But yeah, you have just hardcore right-wing authoritarian goofballs here, and they happen to stumble across one issue where Greg Gutfeld makes sense because he's much more libertarian-leaning. So I love it. I guess he feels comfortable now at Fox News, given that he gets good ratings on his nighttime show, and he also, they get good ratings on this show. He feels like he's safe. They're not going to fire him. So he's sort of, letting his freak flag fly a little bit and putting out his unpopular opinions, which, you know what? You love to see it. It's good to see. I'll take the W's wherever I can get it, and if that comes in the form of a libertarian being correct on drug legalization, God bless. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.